I think we all know that we live in a world right now that's it's easy to become overwhelmed, right? There's enough things happening in our world that you can quickly become extremely overwhelmed. And so community is so important, and
That's right.
Getting around the right community, whether it's friends or counselors or professionals or whomever, and when you start to connect, you'll start to improve.
Welcome to the Man of Honor podcast, where we help men just like you win the biggest game of all in life, love, and family. Your host, Ed McGlasson, has been coaching and speaking to men for the last 40 years in 14 countries. He's a 5-year veteran of the NFL, a pastor, life coach, best-selling author, and has been married for over 40 years, blessed with 5 adult children, 10 grandkids, with 3 more on the way. And now, here's Ed.
Feeling overwhelmed as a man and you just want to run and hide. You know what I'm talking about? You're dealing with your pressure maybe the wrong ways, and you just want to learn more about overcoming that pressure you feel right now, because you might explode. Hi, I'm your host, Ed McGlasson. Welcome to the Man of Honor podcast, where we help guys just like you win the biggest game of all in your life, love, and family. Today in studio, we have Stephen Brewster, owner and CEO of TheHarmony.Group, as he tells us the story about how he learned, now listen to this title, it'll grab you, how to overcome being overwhelmed. I can't wait to hear this. So let's welcome Stephen to the show.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor to be here today. I'm so excited, and this is the highlight of my day for sure.
Well, great. Well, tell me a little bit about this kind of tagline you have. It's time to overcome being overwhelmed.
Yeah, well, I think we all know that we live in a world right now that's it's easy to become overwhelmed, right? There's enough things happening in our world that you can quickly become extremely overwhelmed. And I just think that God is pretty clear about how we're supposed to handle fear and how we're supposed to handle faith. And the truth is that nothing that's happening in our world is a surprise. God's not surprised. He's not sitting up in heaven listening to his favorite song, and the angels are coming running into his throne room saying, "Did you hear what happened to Ed?" Well, he already knows what's happened to Ed,
Yeah.
and not only does he know, but he kind of planned it.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we just can recalibrate a little bit our own feelings and expectations, and we can remember who's really in control, I think it can help de-escalate some of the feelings. And I'm not discrediting anxiety. I'm not discrediting any mental health things at all. I live in a family where we deal with some of that. My wife works with people all the time that deal with those issues. They're very, very real, but so is our God.
Yeah, and it's no kidding. Well, there's an incredible picture of what you described. When John the Apostle, who's on the island of Patmos, God peels back the difference between heaven and earth, and he looks in at the throne of God. Mm-hmm. And he sees this amazing, the colors, and one who sat on the throne of God, and right before it, he describes the sea of glass. So in other words, you can't tell where heaven and earth meets, like being at a mountain. And you're up early in the morning, and now the lake in the mountain, there's a big lake in front of that mountain. You're not sure where the mountain is. Are we standing on it right here on the lake, or is it over there? And that sea of glass is this picture of perfect peace. So in other words, no matter what happens in your life, everything that comes towards your life has to pass by that throne with all of its power and might and majesty, and that in perfect peace. So that's what God isn't going, ooh vey, right?
Right.
I can't believe this is happening. He's given provision. Well, no, that's powerful. So because somebody who makes that kind of statement must have had his own battles dealing with fear and all this other kind of stuff. Because you don't get a message like that unless you have a battle like that. Let us in on how you got to this
Yeah,
place.
I mean, we walked through some pretty tough years, as a family and individually inside of ministry, and some things that happened in ministry that were not our fault, but they happened around us. And sometimes there's shrapnel to that. And when you invest your heart and your life into something and then it goes away, it takes a little time to recover. And in some of those moments, you're like, wow, is there a purpose to this? Is it like, if all things work together for the good, how is this going to work together for the good? And a lot of times we don't see it in the moment. We have to take the step back. And so walking through some tough seasons like that, and getting some really good counseling, and getting I think God's tool to reach the world is the church, and the church is made up of people. And so community is so important. And
That's right.
getting around the right community, whether it's friends or counselors or professionals or whomever, but like investing in that, and obviously your family too, like protecting your family in a way that allows them to feel safe. We told our kids all throughout the situation, the church doesn't hurt people. People hurt people, and the church is still God's bride. And as long as there's people in it, it's not going to be perfect, and it's going to be a little messy sometimes. And don't give up on the truth because people misrepresent the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I've being a pastor, senior pastor for 35 years, and then 4 years being the chief bottle washer, the children's ministry builder, the building maintenance guy, the setup and tear down guy, the men's pastor, the single parent pastor, all those kind of things, is that God uses, and the church is filled with people that are broken. But I love that verse you talked about. All things work together for good to those that are, called, who love God and are called by God. And the good isn't the good like good and bad.
Right.
Because there's like no good when it doesn't feel good when you suffer.
No.
If you read 29, the verse right after that, it brings a context. And it actually says, for those he foreknew, that's us, he's predestined us to be conformed to the image of his son. So suffering, if we go to God, will make us more like Jesus.
Yes.
If we suffer and don't go to God, it makes us more like the other guy. And then we blame.
Well, yeah, bitter. I mean, and you're seeing that right now, right? You're seeing that in culture. You're seeing so many people walking away from church and deconstruction and all these things. And what it is it's misplaced hurt. They're taking they're taking the suffering, and instead of allowing the suffering to do what the suffering does and can do, they're allowing it to turn them from the very thing that actually could make them redeem that moment.
Yeah. And, so talk a little bit about the process of learning how to deal with the hurt, right? Hurt in the church, hurt by friends. What do you do with that so you don't carry it with you? What have you learned?
Well, I mean, for me, a big part of it is counseling. It's prayer and counseling. So, you're going to get hurt. Like, if you think about like the best relationships you have in your life, they're probably some of the people that have hurt you the worst in your life.
Yeah.
And taking that suffering analogy just a little further, one of two things happen when people get hurt. They either dig in or they run away. And if they dig in, it actually ends up building roots in a relationship that makes the relationship formidable. If they run away, they were probably going to run away anyway. They were just looking for the right opportunity, right? So I think the very first thing is at least for me, Ed, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, first thing I do is I go, okay, what part of this is my responsibility to own? What did I screw up here? How did I not handle this properly or Christ-like? And then second, I go to prayer and I'm like, God, please forgive me if I've done anything and please help me navigate this. And then I go into counseling and I say, hey, this is what happened. This hurt me. Why did I feel this way?
Yeah, and see, and then you take that hurt, and you have two choices with the hurt. You can build a wall between you and that person, right? Today, people are building boundaries before they've gone through the process of forgiveness, right? Because if you don't learn how to forgive the way God forgives you, then you get bitter, and it's like, well, why would you do that to me? I mean, today, bitterness is so out of control that if you disagree with somebody in social media, their immediate response back is they'll use terms that they think they know what it means. They'll call you, you're a Nazi, right? Really? Do you know what a Nazi is?
Right.
I've heard that term before. You're like 20 years old. I mean, you were back in Germany. You understand what that was really like for people living back there? Wow.
You're like, neither am I a Nazi or a Jew, actually. So
that was powerful, wasn't it? You want to learn some more? I got another one following this. Well, hold on. I'm so grateful that you listen to this podcast. I got something for you. That's right. Absolutely free. You might be thinking, man, I want to learn more about being a better husband or father. So check out this free life-changing gift that I've just put in the bio there. You can get it. And we're giving you free access to the Man of Honor training camp. To every man who wants to make the biggest difference he can with his family. It's video generated, go at your own pace. It's a product that we've had out, and we felt that God wants us to give it away to every guy like you that says, Ed, I need an upgrade. I need to learn some things about my wife and my kids. And maybe you're single going, I don't know if I'll ever get married, but I'd like to learn more. All you got to do is sign up with the link in the description of this podcast, and you're going to learn some things that most of our dads didn't know how to teach us. Let me tell you something. It healed my family, and I know it'll heal yours too. Click on the link in the description of this podcast and sign up today. You're never going to be the same. And remember something, my friend. The Father loves you, and he sent his Son to let you know. God bless you.